Excellent. Well, the first thing is we're still getting this streaming platform. So if you saw me go live real quick and then come back, it was because I pushed go live right as I was getting my phone in the tripod here. But we are here at the Convention Center in Charlotte for the afternoon of the first day of the United Methodist Church's General Conference. We've just finished lunch and we're preparing to go back into the main hall for opening worship. That's scheduled to begin at 2 p.m. You can follow that by going to the United Methodist General Conference website. You'll see live streaming. Might be kind of loud here. I promise this is one of the quietest places. They were holding delegates. So the way that the Charlotte Convention Center has all sorts of interesting floors. Maybe if you're in a church that's been around for a long time and it has had several additions, it kind of makes me think of that, or a house that's had like 3 additions. I think that this was just how the convention center was built, but due to the light rail running through the convention center, to get anywhere, you got to go up and then down and then up and then down. So I'm actually on what is kind of, it's ground level, but it's kind of the 3rd level above, or it's 2 levels above. So the 3rd level above the hall where the plenary is being held. And so just below us at the escalator, you got to take escalators to get down to halls A, B, and C. And the seating for delegates is hall C. The seating for observers is hall B, which is to the side, and then around the corner, it's kind of L-shaped. B is at the corner, and then around the corner is where all the exhibits are. And there's escalators that, because of fire code, they're tracking where everybody's going up and down. So anyway, they're not letting delegates down the delegate escalators, or at least weren't. We heard some cheering just as I was beginning the live stream, but they were holding delegates. I'm live streaming right around 1:40, so everybody's getting ready to go in and get seated for 2 p.m. Hopefully it will go much faster. So the two of the interesting things from the orientation this morning, the first is it took a hot second for everybody to find their seats. The labels at the end of rows were weird, and delegations figuring out where everybody sat. It all worked out. We all got seats. And Gary Graves, the secretary of the General Commission on the General Conference, led us through the morning orientation. And so we heard from different people. We heard about the Daily Christian Advocate website that delegates had already heard about in pre-conference briefings, and that's a really great resource. If you are trying to follow from home, you've got to pay if you want access to the Daily Christian Advocate website. There's PDFs of everything online, but within that website, you can track specific legislation. You can set up alerts. And so you can go to the Daily Christian Advocate website if you'd like to get an account to be able to track things a little bit more easily from home. Also, I think one of the most interesting things, the one thing that jumped out at me from the morning, was when we had the presentation from our parliamentarian. We have a new parliamentarian this General Conference. And one of the things that he pointed out was Rule 41. Now, the first thing you need to know is that the rules from the previous General Conference are the rules that are at play until new rules are approved. And so Rule 41 from the previous General Conference, as he reminded us and pointed out, and you can find the rules online, but Rule 41 essentially says, as I understand it, you can't amend the rules. Now, if you're a member of the Baltimore-Washington Conference, you know that we, and I suspect this is the case elsewhere, it has been the case at general conferences, that we love to spend a lot of time amending and changing the rules. But Rule 41 says that you cannot easily amend the rules, and that any amendments to the rules, either one of two things has to be true. Either the amendment has to come from the Rules Committee, from the team that oversees that, or, and I don't think that's the official name of that committee, or it has to go through them and to be reviewed. I assume for concurrence or non-concurrence. So you can't amend. So how I understood that, and I think how the folks around me understood that, is there can't be any amendments to the rules today, because unless it's somehow already gone to that committee. So the rules are going to be voted up or down. I guess if we vote them down, we continue under the rules from the previous General Conference, and any changes to the rules would have to come at a later time. There may be rules that people want to clean up, rules that folks want changed, or again, some cleaning up of language. But he made it very clear, and I think was trying to be really clear with folks, we're not going to spend 4 hours arguing about the rules. And so that's Rule 41. That was the thing that jumped out at me as the most interesting from our morning session. So this afternoon, again, we begin with opening worship at 2 p.m. And then we'll go into the official opening business. We did hear about our voting devices. I shared this morning that we get cards. These cards go in as delegates. They go in our voting devices. We take them out when we leave, or if we have to change with a reserve delegate. And so we're going to be practicing that. Again, if you've been part of our annual conference session, I imagine it's the same at other annual conferences. We practice them and answer questions like, is Jesus Lord? I don't know what our question. We'll see what our practice questions are today. And then we'll move into, again, presumably all of those things like receiving and voting on the rules. I also do just want to remind you that, come here, I'm gonna bring it, come here, DS Cogman. She showed up, she was making faces to me. I want to welcome, and because one of the things we heard about today was pages and tellers. So this is DS John Z. Cogman, one of my colleagues on the cabinet. She was making faces, so now you get to be on camera on the live stream. DS Cogman, you serve as a page, and this is not your first time doing that. I'm going to put you on the spot. Jesus. But can you tell me, other than you were helping folks find their seats today, and I told folks already on the live stream, it took a hot second. You did a great job.
Thank you.
But what do you enjoy doing about being a page, and what do you feel like you spend most of your time doing? Because it's not your first general conference.
No, this is not. I've been serving as a page since we went to Tampa, and I enjoy helping people. So as a page, we do help people find their seats, but we also help people to find their meeting rooms, and then we make sure that messages are sent in a timely manner. We keep organization. We make sure that they have all the materials that they need. We pass out all the ADAs and ADCs and ABCDEFGs, all of those. So we just make sure that all the delegates have everything they need to be effective in their job.
And that's wonderful. And as they shared this morning, pages and marshals, are here on their own dime.
Yes, we do. We don't get any money.
And one of the 3 offerings during General Conference next Wednesday, I think, is a love offering for pages and marshals. So
we hope
folks from home, I think, can give to that, because they said the opening worship offering will be cash or check, but they'll be digital later on. So maybe folks from home, maybe they'll put that information online, and you can help support wonderful folks like DS Cogman.
Thank you.
Who are serving. So thank you so much. And your son's going to be here serving as a page as well.
Yes. James will be here. Jacob was here last week. James will be here next week.
2 other clergy in our Baltimore, Washington
conference.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that's one of the things that's been wonderful at General Conference, is getting to see folks, not only from our Baltimore, Washington conference, but one of the things that I'm really enjoying at mealtime, because this year all of the delegates are eating here in the convention center. As far as I know, that's never happened before, or hasn't happened in a long time. It's wonderful getting to talk with folks from different annual conferences to hear about their experiences. So we had breakfast this morning. Dinner last night was the first meal that we that I shared here at the convention center. And so hearing about the experience that folks have had around disaffiliation, how ministry is going. And I have to tell you, it's been really exciting and encouraging. Certainly a lot of folks sharing about difficulty, but every conversation that I've had, even as folks have talked about difficulty, challenges with disaffiliation, brokenness, tension, every single one I've had so far has talked about how God is moving in incredible ways. And so as we go into this general conference, I know that the tendency will be, or maybe for some folks, to focus on what has been lost, decline, all of those things, but we are growing, we are thriving. That's the story that I'm hearing time and time again in conversations, the ways that God is showing up in incredible ways to bring new life to congregations that close and reopen, connected to healthy and vital churches, congregations where the churches around them have disaffiliated and their congregation decided we just don't want to be divided amongst ourselves. And they have remained United Methodist and have been growing by leaps and bounds because persons have been looking for United Methodist churches to connect with. So those are the stories that I've been hearing. I'm excited to continue to get to meet more delegates, and I'm excited for opening worship. So again, if you're watching this live, tune in and watch opening worship that begins at 2 p.m.